viewers, welcome to CEC lectures. Myself Dr. Preeti Jagwani, I am from University of Delhi. So presently we are going through our series of hypertext markup language, which is HTML, and in the previous lectures we have covered the basics of the table tag, that is how to create a simple table and how to give various styles to the border of the table or border of the, we can say kind of table header or table data, whatever. So kind of we can say starting from that we in this lecture we will be exploring some more elements of the table or more attributes of the table. So let's begin with the kind of leftovers of the border. Earlier I have shown you the styles of various styles in which the borders can be displayed. That could be dotted, dashed or something of that sort. That could be kind of none or hidden or having an onset property. Here if we want to, now a very common requirement is to change the color of the border, and it is very simple here. That can be done with the help of border color property. We can set the color of the border using that particular property, and that obviously goes with goes inside the style tag of the head section. So if we want to leave out the table element, that's perfectly fine. Leaving out the table element will give us the attribute to be applied only to the elements of th and td as it is shown on the screen. So it is th td, and I have written border color is red. So this is going to give me, it's a very simple property. This is going to give me a red border color for the table header and for the table data, not for the table because I have not written the table. If you can see the code on the screen is just th and td, border color is red. So a very simple command is here to control the border color, and previously we have also covered the border styles. Now coming to the other kind of attributes or other elements of the table which we can cover. So it is about the width of a particular column and height of a particular row. Those also can be controlled using the style attributes, and we have width and height properties. So height and width can be specified for a table, can be specified for a particular row, or it could be specified for a particular column as well. So now there are two kind of, we can say, units in which we can give the height. Either it will be in the form of pixels, so that's a very kind of absolute unit. I can say if I'm going to say height is equals to, let's say kind of 200 pixels, so that's very clear. But if I'm going to say it other way round, that is height is equals to, let's say 70%. So what actually this percentage is? So this percent will be kind of, we can say taken with respect to the parent element. Now what is this parent element? If we talk about that, we have given this let's say column width is equals to 70%. So column is having table as its parent element. So with respect to the whole table, the width for that particular column will be covering 70%. And if I am going to write this for a table, then the parent element of the table is, I can say, that particular frame or that particular page. So table kind of height or table width is going to be, let's say 70%, that means 70% of the page. So if I am going to write pixels as a unit, that is absolute, no issues into that. But if I am going to write the percentage, that essentially means percentage with respect to the your this thing, the parent element. Now, how are we going to do it? Let us see. In order to set the width of a table, we need to add the style element either in the table, that is the another way, or we can do it as we have done it in the previous lecture, that is style attribute of the your under the heads section. That is also perfectly fine, but here we are doing it with a new way, or with the other way, that is within the table tag as the style attribute. So, for that I have written table style is equals to, and within the double inverted commas, width colon 100%. So, width colon 100%, that means the width of the table will be 100% of its parent element, which is the frame, or it could be in normal circumstances it is page. So, it is going to cover the whole, I can say, page, because the width is 100%, and then there are normal kind of tags which are there, tr then th tags comprising of 3 data or 3 data elements, or I can say 3 column headers here with the table. So, this table, if you are going to run it on a particular browser for this particular code, this will be taking the whole width of the parent element, and there will be 3 table headers, which is the first name, last name and the edge. So, here we have defined the width for a particular table, and in the similar manner we can also define it for kind of a table row which is for the height, or we can have it for the table header, which is the width thing. And I have already told you that using a percentage as the size unit for a width or maybe for a height means how wide this element will be as compared to its parent element, which is in this case is the body element. So, body is going to cover the whole page. So, we can also say, which is in this case is the page width of the situation. Then we have covered or we have controlled the width of the table. Now, what if we want to cover, or sorry, if we want to control the width of the of a particular specific column, we need to add the style attribute as we have added on the table. That same task we need to do for that particular element, we can say, whether it is in th or whether it is in td. So, in order to set the size of a specific column, add the style attribute on a th or a td element. How it can be done? Let us see. So, here if you can see that the same particular code, table style width is 100%. So, table width will be the 100% of the body element. Now, within the first table row, I have given th style width is 70%. So, the idea is style equals to, within the double inverted commas, name of the attribute, which is width, followed by colon and then the value of that particular attribute, which is 70%. So, now this 70% will be taken as compared to, so 70% of the table, which is the parent element of this th, or I can say 70% of that particular table row. So, table row here is the parent element of that th. So, the first element or the first name cell is going to occupy 70% of the row, rest 30% of the row will be given to the last name and the age attributes. So, that is going to be done with the help of this style width 70% attribute when enclosed with th. So, in place of th we can also enclose it with d, which is for the table data. Here it is, I have used it for table header. Then you can have your normal other table rows as in the, as we have seen in the conventional examples. Now, the width, when we talk about, it is the width of a particular column, I can say, or width is more kind of, we can say, relevant to the table or to the column, because that is what we are talking about, how wide they are. But when we are talking about a specific row, the element which should be controlled as in terms of size, it should be height, though. So the width is associated with the column and height is associated with the row. So in order to control the height of a specific row, we need to add the style attribute on the table row, which is tr. So how are we going to do that? Let's see a complete code. I want to do here in this program, what I want to do is to control or to set the height of the second row to 200 pixels. So table style width is equals to 100%, then we have our normal conventional first row with all the th into that. And what agenda I was talking about is to set the height of the second row to 200 pixels. So let's now move on to the second row. And the moment I have started my second row with the tr tag, I have specifically mentioned that style within the double style equals to within the double inverted commas height colon 200 pixels. So height of that particular table row inside which the style attribute has been defined as height of 200 pixels, that particular style will be applied only to the second row, not to the first row, not to the third row, because that is given with the style of tr style of the second row. Now here comes a difference. If this is style, I am going to define inside the head section within the style tag saying tr and then style is equals to this. So that style will be applied to each and every table row, and if we want to get applied it to on a on a local basis, that means onto some elements and not onto the all others. So we need to define the height attribute or any other attribute for that matter here within the or with the particular tag or the element. If we are going to define it into the head section, that is going to be applied to all the elements of that particular class, I can say. Now next thing which we want to cover is the caption of the table. Now caption of the table is very important. That is going to give me the essence of what is being presented inside the table or what kind of information this table is covering. So if in any web page, if we are going to have this table, there has to be a caption for proper readability, and in order to add a caption which is nothing but a heading for the entire table, we need to have the caption tag, caption opening and then caption closing. Whatever heading or whatever title we want to supply to the table, that will be written over there, and this caption tag will be will be written inside the table tag before opening of any table row. That's the proper place for it. So here the code which we can see on the screen is table and then a style which we have already covered. Then there is a caption tag. So caption I have given monthly savings or whatever caption you need to have, and then caption closed, and after that we have started with tr, that is the table row. So that caption will be displayed as the title for the whole particular table as it is shown on the screen, and this caption will normally be displayed, I can say, on top of the table, not on the bottom of the table, because this is a standard convention that figure captions must be on the bottom of the figures and table caption should be on the top of the table. So here is the caption which we have given, and then normal your th data and then your td data is there. So that was the caption. Just in order to have a quick recap, we will be writing this caption inside the table tag. Just after opening the table, we will write caption, then whatever caption we want to write, and then caption closing, and after caption we will be starting our table rows here, and whatever rows you want to give, that you can give. That is very I can say obvious. Then the next concept after this width and the table border and the caption which we have covered in this lecture, the next section which comes up is about cell spacing and cell padding. So the name, as the name indicates, cell spacing. So cell spacing is basically the spacing between the cells. So if we have the borders kind of displayed around the cells, we can see the spacing very clearly as it is on the, as it is given on the screen in the figure of spacing figure. Another, we have a padding figure. So padding basically is the I can say space between the contents of the cell and the border of the cell. More the cell padding attribute, more the value of the cell padding attribute, more will be the space between the border of the cell and the content of the cell, and which you can see here is, that is the width padding. And if you can see on the spacing side, there is no padding in between the cells, I can say. That means the word, the content hello which is written is just kind of touching the corners or touching the borders of the cell. That means this is without padding. But if you want to see it with padding, please have a look on the other side of the screen. That is going to give a space between the content and the border of the cell. So cell padding and cell spacing are two attributes which sometimes, or we can say, we need to control. And in order to control the cell padding and cell spacing attributes, we have these two we can supply the values of these attributes. So in HTML table, if we want to have the cell padding, by default it is set to 0, because there will be kind of, we can say, no space between the cell edges and the cell content. If we want to add padding on the table cells, we need to use the CSS padding property, or we can write it in the table as well, and we can as the attribute of the table, as we have seen in the cases of border. So we will say padding is equals to, and whatever pixels you want to whatever kind of whatever amount of padding you want to put in. So here it is being done with the help of style attribute, and this code will be inserted into the style attribute or into the style tag under the head section. So here we have th and td, that means for the whole, that is for the header data as well as for the normal table data, we need to have a padding of 15 pixels, and this code, when entered within the style tag, will be applied to the whole table, all the tables of that particular page which are present in the page. So here you can see how are we going to apply that. Although we have seen this earlier, but in just I'm just trying to make yourself make you people familiarize with this particular style of writing the code, that is within the head. Inside the style attribute, we have table, th and td, and we have given some attributes about the border, and then border collapse is also there. Then within the th td, we have left over the table here because that is not relevant. Padding is for the cells, not for the table. So th and td, which are actually cells of heading and data, I am going to write padding is 15 pixels, and then I will be kind of ending the style head and will begin with the body. And if you can see, here is the result of what we have done. So although if you can see, the first name, last name and age are in the center, how are they going to be displayed in the center, that will be covering in a moment. But if you can see the normal cell data, which are the 3 rows, please notice that there is a difference, or there is a space between the content and the cell edge. And the moment we are going to increase this 15 to 30, all these contents will be kind of shifted more towards the right. That could be that is one of the idea. Another things which we can kind of experiment is placing these table headers or the data within the center of the cell. That can also be done by you controlling the align attribute, we are coming on to that. And within the padding, it is not only the kind of left padding, we can control padding from all the 4 directions, which is top, bottom, left and right. So here you can see on the screen that within the style tag, as previously I have given only one set, which is padding 10 pixels or 15 pixels. If we want to have different amount of padding from all the 4 directions, we can give padding dash top 10 pixels, padding dash bottom 20 pixels, padding left is 30 and padding right is another kind of we can say amount. Then style and head is being closed. And if you want to apply all these directions, padding from all these directions, that is also kind of very well acceptable within the HTML, and here you can see the result. So padding will be taken accordingly, whatever dimensions you have given. Then at the next step, what if you want to change the cell spacing, that is space between each cells. By default, as I have told you earlier, that cell padding by default is 0. By default, the cell spacing is being set to 2 pixels, and again we can change using change this cell spacing either using the CSS tag or using the normal attribute of the table. So let us see how this cell spacing is going to be going to be controlled or going to be checked. Now cell spacing is basically cell spacing basically comes with the border spacing, basically comes as the border spacing, and border spacing, this is for the whole table. So we are going to write this as the attribute of the table element under the style tag of the head section. So table border spacing is 30 pixels. So border spacing will be given of 30 pixels. So here you can see the result. If we are going to apply this 30 pixels, please notice the alignment of the cells of the table. These are actually kind of getting far away from each other. This is the spacing, cell spacing of 30, and in the normal table when there is no spacing, then there is actually the by default value is of 2 pixels, that is there. Now after this kind of cell spacing and cell padding, let us try to explore some kind of more attributes, which is column span. So we have seen that many a times there is a requirement of spanning a particular cell over multiple columns. So for example, we have address, and within that address we have 3 sections, that is house number, kind of street name and the city. So that address will be spanned over 3 columns. So in order to span any particular, or in order to expand any particular data or heading over multiple columns, we can say column span is equals to the number of columns. So the command is very simple. Within the table, I have started one table row, and the first name which is there, I want to kind of span it over the 2 columns. So for within that th, I have written call span is equals to 2, and we have name and the table header close, and other attributes or other coding, other part of the coding or the text is written as normal, and here we can see the result. So name, which is the first header, is going to be expanded over the first name and the last name, and there are kind of different rows. So within the row number 2 and row number 3, I have taken 3 TD elements, but in the first row, which is of the header, I have taken only 2 elements. The first is name, another one is the age, and for the name I have categorically written column span is equals to 2. So in order to have one more look, one more kind of relook at the code, here it is. Within the TR, the first TR, which is comprising of table headers, there is column span is equals to 2 for name, and then there is age, and I have not written the third one. because that is not required. Name is going to be expand over the first name and the last name, which are the attributes. Then within the TR, I have written 3 TDs for the first row apart from table headers, and for the second row I have also written 3 table datas, and the result is shown on the screen. So as we are doing with column span, we can also do it with the row span to make a cell span over multiple rows. Now let us say if we want to have one particular element to be spanned over multiple rows, so we can say that th row span is equals to, and then there are values. So row span is equals to 2 is going to give me a result like this, which is phone. Then we have 2 rows on which it is spanning. So first row is comprising of 2 elements, out of that one is the table header name and another one is a table data. In the second row we have phone, which is spanning over 2 rows and 1 table data, and in the third row we just have 1 table data. So in order to have the in order to have a relook on the code, please see this. We have TR as name within the TH and the simple data is TD. Here I am trying to control this table headers onto the left side as the row headings. So name and the value as Jill, and then we have for phone we have row span is equals to 2 and we have written 1 table data along with it, and for the third, because phone is already spanning onto the third row as well, we only need 1 table data, which is given here in the form of 5558745, and here is the result. So in this lecture, let me summarize what we have covered is right from starting from the border color. Then we have width attribute, we have seen width and height attributes for column, table and rows respectively. Then we have seen cell padding and cell spacing, which is the space between the cells or space between the edge of the cell and the content is what we are talking about, the padding. And then towards the end of the lecture we have seen row span and column span. So hope you had enjoyed the lecture. Here is a list of references which is being used for preparation of this lecture. I will be seeing you soon in the next upcoming lecture of the HTML series. Till then, goodbye, take care.